Probably the most popular family of hunting cartridges right now is these guys, the PRCs. You got the little brother, the mild 6.5 PRC. You got what seems to be the golden child in the 7 PRC. And then you got big brother, just straight power, pound to the ground, 300 PRC. So here's our sight-ins. We got our 6.5 PRC right there. Ignore this one. That's from the 300 PRC, which took a few more shots to get us zeroed. So there's our 300 PRC. And then here's our 7 PRC. We had shot 1, adjusted, shot 2, another adjustment, shot 3. So we're pretty much perfect for all 3 of those. We're gonna start off shooting on a 1/4 inch sheet of steel here. This is mild steel, so 1/4 inch of mild steel, to give you a visualization of the difference in bullet diameter. Obviously, we know that the 6.5 PRC is going to be smaller than the 300 PRC, but by how much? I mean, you can see it in the bullets, but it doesn't quite tell the same story as when you see the impact in the steel. All right, 6.5 PRC's up first. And last but definitely not least, 7 PRC or 300 PRC. I'll tell you what, shooting this 300 PRC a bunch, this is in the Sig Cross Magnum Sawtooth, which we now have backstop recoil pads available for all Sig rifles. And you're not gonna compromise on the recoil pad adjustability or anything. You can still got all that. That recoil pad, along with how this rifle is built, this rifle does not feel like you're shooting a 300 PRC. It's loud. It sounds like a 300 PRC, but it does not feel like it. And I wouldn't be surprised if on camera, it looks like this gun is recoiling less, because honestly, this feels like it's recoiling less than the 7 PRC. And honestly, it feels like it's recoiling even less than the 6.5 PRC, which is absurd because the 300 PRC is carrying almost 20 foot-pounds more recoil energy than the 6.5 PRC. So that should not be the case. But I mean, here we are. I mean, it turns out that is the case. All right, here's our target. Ignore these 4. These are from the last video. These are from 300 Win Mag versus 7 PRC. If you're interested in that, go check that video out. But we had 6.5 PRC on the top. Then we went 7 PRC, 300 PRC. So obviously we get bigger as we go down, right? I mean, bigger bullet diameters is gonna be a bigger hole, obviously. But look at the difference between the 300 PRC and the 6.5 PRC. It's not a monstrous difference by any means. Now, where the difference is gonna be is not just in the entry holes here. The 308, which is the caliber of the bullet in the 300 PRC, is going to expand much more than it will in the 6.5 PRC, which has a bullet diameter of 0.264 inches. So the next one is going to be more about penetration. In the last video, I did the same thing. We're going 4 inch through 4 inches of wood and then a 1/4 inch of steel, and we see how far each one goes through. Now, in the last one, I did not realize. So we did 7 PRC versus 300 Win Mag. I did not even notice that I had shot the 7 PRC into a knot like this. So maybe we'll do a redemption video of the 7 PRC. But for now, we're doing a battle of the PRCs. All right, starting off with the 300 PRC this time. Word of caution, do not forget your ear pro when you shoot a 300 PRC with a muzzle brake. I think I just lost about 50% of my hearing for the rest of the day. All right, 7 PRC next. And finally, the 6.5 PRC. All right, let's look at these targets. Now, I didn't have my chronograph, unfortunately. I think Jim took it on his caribou hunt with him. That's where he is right now. So I couldn't record speeds. Those are our 3 from right to left. We have 300 PRC, 7 PRC, 6.5 PRC. So let's turn it over. Okay, they all made it out of the wood. Holy, look at okay, this is what I'm talking about with that expansion. Look at the two exits of the 7 and the 6.5, and look at how much bigger that 300 PRC is. Again, obvious, but here you can actually see, you can visualize the difference. Now let's look. I don't see any daylight out of the 300 PRC. I think it stopped, and oh shoot, we got bullet fragments here from the 300. So yeah, 300 PRC did not make it. Now I'm surprised. I honestly thought with how much energy that was carrying, even though it's not going as fast as the 7 PRC, I still thought it would go all the way through. Then we got 7 PRC, and there is your redemption for all the people that were upset that we shot the 7 PRC into a knot in the last one. The 7 PRC is redeemed. It made it all the way through the wood and all the way through the 1/4 inch of mild steel. The 6.5 PRC, however, does not. It did get farther than the 300 PRC, is what it looks like. That looks deeper to me. Here's the bullet of the, oh gosh, that is hot. That's the bullet of the 6.5 PRC. Now let's look at the back and look at our bulges here. Oh yeah, it looks like the 6.5 made it further than that 300 PRC did. Interesting. That is not what I expected at all. But this 300 PRC, not only is it a smaller bulge, there's zero daylight around that hole. Whereas with this 6.5, it looks like some pieces of the bullet may have popped out of the back there, but not with the 300. And then there's the 7 PRC, just all straight the way through. But now we give the cartridges their toughest challenge yet. Not only do they have to go through 4 inches of wood and a 1/4 inch of mild steel, but a gallon of water as well. And we're sitting at about, I think we're 6 inches of water here. Yeah, that's about 6 inches there. So we got to go through 6 inches of water, 4 inches of wood, and a 1/4 inch of steel. I don't think any of these cartridges are making it all the way through. But mostly what I'm curious to see is which one gives us the best explosion. Probably gonna be the 300 PRC, but I was wrong about the 300 PRC before, and the 7 PRC actually ended up being the winner there. So you never really know until you actually shoot it. All right, 6.5 PRC is up first. The wind is picking up fast. We probably got almost 20-mile-an-hour winds right now. I hope this isn't affecting the mic too much. Alrighty, 7 PRC's up next. That was a decent explosion from 6.5 PRC, but I'm willing to bet we get a way bigger one here with the 7. And finally, the 300 PRC. Well, that was the only one to knock over the steel, so that must have packed a massive punch. So as far as damage and destruction to the water bottles, that's the 6.5 PRC. There's a whole half missing off of that jug, which I have not seen many times when shooting. This is the 300 PRC. We still got both sides attached, but that was absolutely eviscerated. And then the 7 PRC floated away somewhere. I'm not sure where that one went. There's our entries for all of them. We went this time 6.5 PRC, 7 PRC, 300 PRC. Entries all look pretty similar. Honestly, not seeing a huge gap in destruction on the entries of the wood, except for 300 PRC looks like a much clearer, much cleaner hole where these kind of collapse in on the bullets on the 6.5 and 7. But wow, none of them hit the steel. I'm pretty sure that's what I said. We've got a bullet here, not sure which one that's for, but none of them escaped the wood. Looks like our 6.5 PRC, I can see the bullet there. Oh, I might be able to dig it out of there. Oh no, that's in there. That's in there good. Our 6.5 PRC definitely did the worst in that test. Well, I don't know, because our 7 PRC looks like the bullet isn't even peeking through. You can't even see where the 7 PRC bullet is. That's where the exit should be, though. Whereas our 6.5, that one's almost escaped the wood. And then our 300 PRC, looks like the 300 PRC bullet, that's probably the bullet fragment that I just threw off to who knows where. That is probably our 300 PRC bullet. I'm not seeing a second bullet, so I'm assuming that 7 PRC is just in there. In fact, it looks like I can even see the bullet down in there. Maybe not in the camera, but I can see that. It looks like I can see that bullet in there. So it looks like 300 PRC did the best here. Then 6.5 PRC, then 7 PRC. As far as penetration, now as far as the explosion, 300 PRC obviously won that one. But 7 PRC and 6.5 PRC were reasonably close. And as far as penetration, 300 PRC won because the bullet escaped the wood. It didn't make it to the steel, but it did escape the wood. 7 PRC could not quite get as far as the 6.5 PRC. And I'll check for knots because obviously that was a problem with the last one. I don't think there was a knot here. Wow, that is a big piece of steel. No knots. So they all shot through a clean, nice path of wood, but it looks like the 6.5 PRC penetrated more than the 7 PRC did, which honestly surprised me because the 7 PRC, bigger bullet, going faster, more energy, so that surprises me. But when it comes to drops and drifts, we're really splitting hairs between these cartridges at 400 and even really at 600 yards. At 400 yards, wind drift with 15 mile an hour, with a 15 mile an hour wind, these three cartridges are within 1.5 inches of each other. 7 PRC is obviously going to be on the lesser end of that, but only by 1.5 inches. Then you talk about drop. They're only within 3 inches of each other. These three cartridges, only within 3 inches of each other at 400 yards, which I would even say the majority of hunters probably aren't even and probably shouldn't be shooting animals out to 400 yards, as we've seen on the Backfire Hunting Challenge. Once we get out to 600 yards, the 7 PRC starts to break away from the other two. But where you're really going to be seeing the difference between these three is long range energy and recoil. Recoil is where you're going to see the biggest difference between these three cartridges, because a 300 PRC is going to be producing in this bullet, in these loads. Obviously, it's going to depend how you load these up, what bullets you're shooting and everything. But with this load, this Hornady Precision Hunter load, you're going to get about 35 foot-pounds of recoil energy, whereas with the 6.5 PRC, you're getting more like 17. That is almost a 20 foot-pound difference. And then the 7 PRC is going to kind of split the difference between there and be right around like 24, 25. The less recoil energy your rifle has, the more accurate you're going to shoot it. And that is going to depend on the cartridge you're shooting and the setup your rifle it is. When you have a Magnum cartridge in a lightweight platform, it is not going to be worked. There's obviously some exceptions in there, but majority of the time not going to work. So long story short, the most versatile is going to be the 6.5 PRC because you're going to be able to shoot it more accurately. It's got enough energy to kill almost anything. On average, depending on the bullet and all that, depending on how you load it, you're probably going to be getting around 2,900 feet per second, which is plenty enough fast. You're going to be getting about 600 to 700 yards of max distance. So yes, the most versatile is going to be the 6.5 PRC, but it's not the best in every case. Now, if you're going hunting dangerous game in Africa or even for elk, I would be personally, I would be comfortable taking an elk with a 6.5 PRC, but some people aren't. And that's when a 7 and a 300 PRC is going to come into play. I would take a 7 PRC because it's going to have much less recoil, but some people just want power. And if that's you, the 300 PRC is your cartridge. If you want superior ballistics, you want minimum wind drift, minimum drop, you want the 7 PRC. That's not to say the 6.5 PRC can't keep up with it, because when it comes to drops and drift, it can. It's right there neck and neck with the 7 PRC, but technically the 7 PRC is slightly better in that category, especially when you start getting out to longer ranges. So there's my take on these 3 cartridges. If you disagree with me, feel free to tell me, you know, why you think the 300 PRC is better, the 7 PRC is better in the comments. Totally open to hearing everyone's opinions. Helps me learn, you know, what people like and what people don't, and you know, sometimes there's something I miss saying, whatever. So make sure to leave a comment if I missed something, or if you think I'm just wrong. Let me know. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you on the next one.